the bucket and a foul. Breakaway. Io.
Oh, meet me at the rim and don't be late.
Give me the hot sauce. Did you not get the memo? Derek Rose can go upstairs.
Oh, he's got Giddey to steal. Right for the lead. Yeah!
Big time plays. Big time plays.
Giddey for the win. Go!
Oh, my God. I cannot believe this.
Improbable.
It's time for a brand new edition of the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast. It is a breaking news edition. We've got great news for Bulls fans. Josh Giddey has signed his contract. According to Shams Charania, he gets a 4-year, $100 million deal to re-sign with the Bulls. Charania also reports there are no options in it, no player option, no team option, so it's 4 years, all guaranteed. That's an average annual value of $25 million. And with that, we welcome you in. Stacey King alongside.
What?
Tim's back after a 2-week break. Good to have you back with us.
Thank you, Mark. It feels good to be back. I see your faces.
I think Josh just wanted to get that signed so that we'd have big news on your return.
Well, I was planning on. I beat Shams to it, but he as usual leaked it out.
Breaking news, yeah.
And breaking news: Tim is not as red as he normally is when he goes to Florida. that was a really
true.
nice sight to see, because when he comes back America, he's red as a lobster. It's really concerning.
Unfortunately, it was
concerning.
raining down there, so I hid under a tent on the sunny days. So.
See, look at his skin. Look how it looks. He looks
Supple.
He's not glowing like he normally does, like he's in radiation. He doesn't look like a lobster. I'm proud of you, Tim. You look good.
Well, Tim's looking good, and so are the Bulls now that they've got their roster set for the start of training camp in a few weeks.
Welcome back.
There had been, reports that there was a stalemate. Giddey and his camp was looking for $30 million a year. The Bulls opened up around $20 million a year, and they met in the middle, which is a pretty good way to negotiate.
Well, we thought that's what was going to happen. The Bulls had the advantage. There was no other teams they had to bid against. No teams had the money. So they're very limited. Brooklyn had the money, but they weren't going in that direction. So Josh really had no other place to go except to either sign a qualifying offer or the Bulls come in, which they did, and say, okay, look, we're not going to give you $30 million a year. And it's not because we don't think you're worth it. It's just we're not giving you that because we're not in a position to give you that. We don't have to give you that. So if you're going to re-sign with us, we'll meet somewhere in the middle. They were at 20. He was at 30. They met at 25. So exactly what I thought, what you thought, what we thought earlier on, they meet somewhere in the middle, because you cannot allow Josh Giddey to come back and be an unrestricted free agent next year, because he's turning in October. He's turning 23 years old.
I know. Yeah.
And he would be the most highly sought after free agent if he was able to go unrestricted. And if you're the Bulls, this is a guy he's a building piece. He's a piece of what you believe your future is all about. You could not afford to lose him.
So we all saw what he did late in the season after the Zach LaVine trade. He averaged almost a triple-double, averaging around 20 points a game, 10 assists, 10 rebounds, and just was such a force in terms of getting into the paint, scoring on his own, being able to finish at the rim, and also creating opportunities for his teammates. The Bulls wanted to play a different style last year. They were one of the fastest paced teams in the league. They shot three-pointers at a rate that was among the best in the NBA. So with Josh coming back, having this contract, how do you think that's going to affect the style that they want to play with for Billy Donovan?
They're still going to play the same pace. You just want to see it translate to wins. Being one of the highest paced teams in the NBA, it didn't result into wins. And so that's what, if you're Billy Donovan and your coaching staff and the players on the team, you want to see that translate into some wins, because you saw Indiana, they move to a higher pace. They get to the NBA Finals. What makes you think the Bulls can't be better this year now that they've got their core pieces back? And this was a big part of their core piece. They had to bring this kid back. You had to do whatever you could to bring this kid back, because at 6'8", he's an unselfish player. He's a pass-first point guard. Yeah, he doesn't shoot the three ball like people think he should shoot the ball, but I thought he shot the ball better in the second half, and I think he's become much more consistent outside shooter. And if he worked on his game this summer, because you got to remember, Mark, you can always work on being a better shooter, but you can't work on being have better instincts. You're born with that. And this kid has great instincts when it comes to vision and getting the ball to the right people at the right time. And at 6'8", he does so many things. It's like having an extra player out there, because at 6'8", your point guards normally 6'2", 6'4". They don't rebound like this kid. Russell Westbrook is the one that comes to mind as being a point guard that can rebound like a forward. Josh Giddey is the other guy. He can get you 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and he can score 10 points easily. So having him back in the fold and him playing alongside Coby and Modest, and you got your core pieces intact. You're going to have to take care of Coby at some point. You're going to have to take care of Io at some point. You still got Vooch part of the deal. So, what direction are we going in? Now that we got Josh, what's your commitment to the rest of these guys that are coming up in the next future?
I know some Bulls fans were wondering about making a long-term commitment to Giddey because his numbers came late in the year against some losing teams and some teams that were resting starters. Do you think he can sustain this over 82 games?
I don't look at it because you got to play who's playing. It's still the NBA, and he's a proven guy. He's a proven guy at Oklahoma City. He's been a starter most of his career, except for they were going to bring him back as a role player if they were to keep him during that championship run. And if the Bulls didn't make that move to bring Alex Caruso to Oklahoma City and Josh Giddey there, he was probably going to come off the bench, and he wouldn't have liked that role. This is a kid that when you watched him play last year, you saw that when he's on, when they moved Zach and it became more his team as the leader of the point guard, you saw him take off. He made him and Coby played along flawlessly with each other. They both complement each other. And I think the establishment of who handles the ball the most, I think they figured it out. It's going to be Josh. When Josh is on the floor, Josh is going to be the guy to handle the ball, get you in your offense, get you in your set. Coby now can focus more on being a scorer. A guy can go out there and get you 25, 30 points. He can focus on that role.
I know that when we had Arturas Karnisovas on, he was talking about cap space in 2026. This is going to take up a little bit of a chunk of that. And then Coby White, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent next summer, as is Ayo Dosunmu. So when you look at the larger landscape, if you were in that GM chair, would you try to re-sign Coby and Ayo, or would you try to maybe look elsewhere to try to supplement the roster?
Well, that's a tough question, Mark. Listen, these are guys that have been here, that have played an important role. Even though the Bulls hadn't had success winning, Coby is still a vital piece to this team. He's played different roles here. He's played for different coaches. He's come off the bench. He started. He's been a scorer. He's been a facilitator. He's played so many different roles, and he's done what he's asked. If he can come out this season and consistently put on a nightly basis, play like he did certain stretch where he had 10 games where he averaged, 25 or more points. If he can do that consistently and still be a two-way player, then that's going to add new light on the situation. You're going to have to pay him what he's asked for, because
and that'll be a bigger number.
It's going to be a bigger money than $100 million.
Yeah.
Okay. Now Ayo, Ayo is a guy that he's played different roles. Starter, coming off the bench. He's played small forward, point guard too. He's a guy, in my opinion, that you have to have on your roster if you're building a championship caliber team, because he's a jack of all trades. He's a guy you can plug in. He comes in with energy. He can defend point guards. He can defend twos. He can defend threes. He's going to push the ball. He's learned what his strengths in the NBA are. Getting up and down the floor, getting in transition, playing downhill. He's recognized that now, and he's become really, really good at it. So he's a vital piece too. Now, it's all going to depend on what free agents are out there. What is it going to take to keep a Coby? What is the market value for Coby right now? And to be interested to see where the Bulls vision what Coby's actually worth. I think this year is really important for Coby. You got to show them that you're an elite player in this league. You're a top 20 player in this league. Is Coby a top 20 player right now? I don't think he's a top 20 player right now. But can he be, at the end of the season? Yeah, he could be at the end of the season, be a top 20. Because the reason why I say he's not a top 20 player right now, because he hasn't consistently done it on a nightly basis.
Right.
That doesn't mean he can't be a top 20 player. But if you ask me right now, is he a top 20 player in this league? No, not a top 20. But he could be at the end of the season next year. Could be find himself in the top 15.
Yeah, and his scoring average will naturally go up because he's going to be the primary scorer on this team. He'll have a full season with Levine and DeRozan gone, and he's going to be the guy they go to in all need situations. And the interesting thing now is the Bulls are rapidly becoming one of the youngest teams in the NBA. They drafted the 18-year-old Noah Senge to pair with Modest. We don't know what they're going to do long-term at the center position, but as you can see, this nucleus coming together. This is a lot of young guys that you hope the vision is they can grow together. Now you want to add that one star, whether it's trade or free agency, to really make this thing take off.
Well, this is a big year for this young core. Billy's going to have to invest minutes in these guys. You're going to have to see what you got. Because you're not playing for a championship this year. This is a pivotal year to develop Modest, to take Modest to the next level, to see what we got with him. It's a pivotal year to see if Coby White can consistently be the guy that we think he can be and what he's shown in spurts here. Asange, what do we have in him? I don't expect him to play a lot of minutes, but I expect him being a lottery or a first-round pick, to be a guy that gets some minutes, because you're not playing for to the Eastern Conference Finals. Realistically, you're saying to yourself, hey, if we get to the playoffs, great. We get to the play-in game, great. But right now, it should be about developing these young kids to get them in position like Orlando did their young players. What you saw Atlanta do with their young players, Cleveland did with their young players, Houston did with their young players. Take your lumps on your head. Get beat. Detroit, get your butt whooped sometimes. But in a year or two, these kids have now been through these wars, and they're ready to go. Instead of putting them on the shelves, send them to the G League to play. When your team is not winning, it does nothing for them. Let them go out there and play. Let them go out there and just like we drafted them, let's develop them. Because a prime example is Detroit. Detroit lost 26 games in a row with their young guys. People are like, oh, this was the worst team ever.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
The very next year, which is last year, they were a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference. And they had a chance to beat New York and kind of got robbed in that situation. If you ask me, they should have beat them. But they are in position now to take the next step this year, go from 6 to top 4 to top 5. You know what I'm saying? So they took their lumps. Take your, get your butt whipped, and let's let the chips fall where they may. A year or two, we find ourselves in the same situation Detroit is in.
Well, one place that Stacey would have been welcome would have been at the Naismith Hall of Fame. They had a big celebration this weekend. Billy Donovan among the inductees into this Hall of Fame class of 2025. It was nice to see a number of the current players went out to support Billy, and a great honor for him and his family.
Yeah, I mean, he's been in the game a long time as a player and as a coach, being a winning coach at Florida. Look
at that group there, speaking of photos.
Yeah, look at it. Look at those guys right there. I mean, those are the young guys. Those are the young guys. This is the Bulls' future. There's Carlos Boozer, got in with Team USA.
Redeem Team.
The Redeem Team. It's an honor for those guys. It's an honor for the Bulls organization, to have, their coach, be inducted, even though it wasn't for an NBA. And it could have been, because he's been around the coach a long, long time. He's had success with Oklahoma City when he is here. But I think a lot of it was Florida. He was a dominant coach at Florida. I mean, they've been back-to-back national championships with that team, and those kids still to this day love Billy Donovan. I mean, he's a player's coach. You ask anybody that's ever played for him, the players love Billy.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm sure a lot of young Bulls fans don't even realize that he was a heck of a college player. Billy the Kid at Providence playing for Rick Pitino. You guys are similar, eh? Did you have any run-ins with Billy over the years?
Billy's older than me. Yeah, I remember watching Billy play. I remember watching Billy, and I think it was Delray Brooks. They were the backcourt from that Providence team, and they were running and gunning. Billy was a shooter. He didn't look. I mean, if you saw Billy, if you saw Billy in a lineup and you were playing at the park, you wouldn't pick him.
Right.
You wouldn't pick. He'd be the last guy picked, but he'd be the guy that you would never get off the court because your team would win. He was that kind of guy. He's kind of a coach on the floor. You hear Pitino talk about him being the leader of that team when they were, making a run for the Final Four. Guys just gravitated to him, and you can see it at the pro level. I know he hasn't had the success here in Chicago that people want to see, but like I said, you ask any of his players, they love him. The organization loves him, and that tells you a lot about his character.
Won a couple of national titles at Florida. Joakim Noah was in attendance for the induction ceremony, and Joe loves Billy.
Yes.
Anytime you see him, he'll say great things about his former college coach. And they had Al Horford, who's still playing, amazingly enough, and Corey Brewer. I mean, that was a heck of a team. Back-to-back champions. You don't see that very often in today's game.
No, I mean, it's hard to win one, let alone two. And to have a team win back-to-back, knowing that you're everybody's Super Bowl, is almost impossible. So for what they did, that whole team should be in the Hall of Fame, to be honest with you. They should have that. They should induct that whole college team in the Hall of Fame, because you've seen teams like UCLA do it, with John Wooden, the great John Wooden. But the teams were not like they were in this era when those guys were doing it. There's a lot more parity amongst the teams. There are more conferences, so it's a little harder, I believe. And UCLA had you had Kareem, Bill Walton. You had like generational talented guys come on that roster. Gail Goodrich, all these great players that come to UCLA. It's like the Celtics when they won all those championships. No one discredits Boston for winning all those championships because you have to play who's in your era. You know, I think there was 11 to 12 teams there, and they always were able to get the best player. You know, Red Auerbach was always able to finagle the best player to come play in Boston. You go look at Boston's, retirement jerseys up in the rafters. I think they've got more jerseys retired than them and the Lakers than any team in the league.
You look at some of the other inductees, former NBA players, Carmelo Anthony and Dwight Howard. I think Carmelo played 1 year for Billy, didn't he? At
Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City.
He had some good things to say about Billy as well.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who's played for Billy is you don't hear a bad word about Billy. Billy is a really good guy. Like you want to, like I talk to Billy all the time.
I know, yeah.
You know, and so I want to see Billy succeed. I want to see Billy turn this program around and get the Bulls back to, back on the top of the mountain. Because he works so hard behind the scenes. He's a player's coach. Like, I play for coaches you don't even want to talk to. You don't want to have any kind of relationship with, But the coaches that you really like, that you talk to this day, Billy would be one of those guys. Phil Jackson's one of those guys. Billy Tubbs, when he was alive, was one of those guys. But there's certain coaches that, you don't like playing for. They were, for whatever reason, you just didn't vibe. And you don't even care what they're doing. But Billy's not one of those guys. And it's a testament to him as a coach and him as a person that he still has all these relationships.
When you think about Carmelo Anthony, he played most of his career with the Knicks. Of course, he was originally drafted by the Denver Nuggets, and then he went to New York in a trade. Never got that championship, but he has a couple of Olympic gold medals, and it was always highly valued on those U.S. national squads. What do you think about his career overall? You think he was maybe underrated for the kind of dynamic scorer and all-around player he was?
Yeah, I think he was not only underrated, underappreciated. I think because they looked at him as being one-dimensional, as a guy that just could score and do nothing else. I think that's completely false, a false narrative, or that he was a problem in the locker room. You talk to any of his teammates, Mark, anybody's ever played with Carmelo, they love playing with the guy. Sometimes media portrayed him as being selfish and it was a me kind of player. You don't hear that amongst people in the NBA circles of players that, no, players don't lie. If players don't like certain players, they'll tell you about them. So you've never heard a bad word said about Carmelo Anthony. I think, at the end of his career, he was sitting out for a year before, like Portland called him, And it was really surprising because as much as the league is based on scoring and a guy that can come off and get you 25 like it's nothing, that he's not on someone's roster. And then finally someone, Portland calls, he ends up being in Portland and shows people he can still do what he can do. Then he ended up going, I think, playing with LeBron in LA. It was really sad to see because, and I think another one of those reasons why, Mark, too, because, a lot of people didn't think he would be content coming off the bench, being a sixth man. And I think Billy had tried to transition him into a six-man role at Oklahoma City, and that didn't sit well, So I don't think in his mind, and that's the hardest thing for a guy who's used to being the man, to take a lesser role and become a sixth man and be a role player per se, because they've never been a role player. And so they don't know how to be a role player. And I think his reputation kind of, bristled a lot of teams because they said, we want to bring him in, but he's going to come in as a sixth man. He's not going to want to do that.
And for Bulls fans, that's one of those what-if stories, again, regarding Carmelo Anthony. Everybody talks about free agency in 2010 when the Bulls went after Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, and Chris Bosh and were unable to get those guys. But in 2014, Tom Thibodeau wanted to add Carmelo Anthony to the squad. I remember they had the marquees outside the United Center all lit up with his picture in a Bulls uniform. In 2014, he came in. And that year, they all went out to dinner. Derrick Rose was in the group that took Carmelo out to dinner. It came down to either going to the Bulls or staying in New York. And he and his, for a lot of family reasons, chose to stay in New York.
Yeah, you also remember, in that during that same time frame, we had acquired J.R. Smith from Charlotte, and then he ended up sending him to Denver, and then him and Carmelo teamed up in Denver and ended up playing in New York together. So we've had some guys come through here that we've caught in the fish net, but we threw them back in the ocean, and that's kind of what happened to J.R. Smith. And Carmelo's decision was based strictly on family. I think if the situation would be different, he didn't have a young son. He was married. He was newly married at the time. I don't think that's an issue. I think he plays in Chicago, and who knows what happens after that. Who knows if Dwayne Wade and LeBron James and all these other guys, decide they want to play with Carmelo in Chicago.
Yeah, it's really interesting. You look back at that history, and a lot of people have taken shots at John Paxson and Gar Forman over the years. They had a plan. I mean, they were going to build through the draft. They had a lot of hits in the draft, and then the near misses in 2010, and then Melo in 14.
I don't think people give them enough credit. I think they spend too much time on the misses. You know, listen, every great organization has misses. I mean, Jerry West was the guy. Everybody puts him as the best front office guy in the history of the NBA. But Jerry West had misses too.
Yeah.
You know, the difference between Jerry West's misses and other people's misses, he didn't double down on his misses. If he recognized that this was a miss, a major miss, whether you were in the lottery or whatever, Jerry's like, we need to get rid of him quick. And he would trade that person at the end of the year, and people go, why you trade your number one pick, da-da-da. And he'd just be like, we're trying to make our team better. And that's why people revere him as one of the greatest, front office general managers or basketball personnel people in the history of the game, because he was not afraid to make. I mean, think about the trade he got Kobe Bryant. You give away Vlade Divac, who helped you get to a finals, who's a major player in
a high school kid that no
one knew about. No one knew about him. And so you make this bold move and maneuver the draft around to get this kid, and then the rest is history. That's the reason why Jerry sits on top. And listen, and I keep saying this, and I know people like they don't disagree. Jerry Krause is right behind him. He's not too far behind Jerry West with his moves that he was able to make, shrewd moves. Not too many people can put two different three-peat teams together, two different completely basketball teams, okay, personnel-wise. The only constant in those championship teams were Michael and Scotty. Everything else was built from the draft, and then the second go-around, it was built from free agency. Mm-hmm. So he did two different things, and he doesn't get the credit he deserves as being one of the best general managers in the history of the game, and he should.
Hey, talk about great off seasons. In 1996, the Lakers were able to sign Shaq as a free agent and then draft Kobe Bryant. How's that for roster building?
Thank God it was L.A. because it would have been anywhere else. I don't think Shaq would have been, because Shaq at that time, if you remembered, was a big fish in a small pond in Orlando. He kept telling everybody he wants to go to Los Angeles because the movies, his rap career, he had all this stuff going on outside of basketball. And for those kind of guys like Shaq who want to be bigger and have a brand, LA is always going to be alluring to those guys. And if they can find their way to maneuver their way to Los Angeles, that's what they're going to do. How do you think LeBron got there?
Yeah. And back in 96, the salary cap was more punitive, and Jerry West had to make a number of trades, just selling off players in order to create the cap space to bring Shaquille from Orlando to L.A. And speaking of Shaq, it was interesting at the Hall of Fame ceremony. He was one of the presenters for Dwight Howard, which I thought was great because those guys, were sniping at each other, the whole Superman bit, and nice to see that they've kind of reconciled. Now they really can appreciate one another.
Yeah, Shaq is always like that. He's like that old school guy, like, get off my lawn.
Yeah.
Because he was such a great player in this league, and he has standards when he thinks of centers. Just like Wilt Chamberlain had standards of what a great center was. Bill Russell, those guys had standards of what great centers are. And when you're being compared to someone you don't think is great, those guys are going to say it. Like, this guy is not as good as you think he is. I would give this guy 50 points. And Shaq is like that, but Shaq is a genuinely good person. Like, he's got the biggest heart that you ever see. So a lot of his stuff that he's saying is not coming from a place of like being vindictive or just trying to say mean things. It's what he generally thinks. It's like, hey, this guy could have won more championships if he'd applied himself. And a lot of people say Shaq could have done that. Shaq could, with Kobe, that team should have won more titles than what they did. But Shaq is that kind of guy. If he doesn't feel like you have all this super talent and you're not being super, he's going to say something about it. He said stuff about Jokic. I mean, he said, I would give Jokic, 40. And I'm going to tell you right now, he's not lying. Prime Shaq?
Yeah.
Prime Shaq and Jokic playing and Jokic guarding him?
Yeah, look at some tape from Shaq in the Orlando days.
Listen, now,
an athlete.
now, I will say this, though. Jokic would be a problem to him, too.
Yeah, he would.
Okay, because Jokic plays more outside. He's more, he can shoot jumpers and threes. But there's no one in this league, this era, could stop Shaquille O'Neal. No. There's nobody. There's not one center in this league. Even Dwight Howard in his prime against prime Shaq would get dominated.
Hey, Whispers, remember a while back Stacey was advocating to bring Dwight Howard on the Bulls?
Yeah.
Now he's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's going to take the plaque down and bring him back?
Let's get
you know what? Out. Hey, listen, America, listen, I'm just talking about kicking the tires, okay? Bringing the center in, and the guy was still, he's playing that 3-on-3 stuff or whatever, and he looks like he's in shape. He looks like, I only need you for about 15 minutes, big fella. Just be
Beasley, right?
No, I take Beasley too.
Yeah,
I take Beasley too. No, I don't.
He's killing guys.
I don't understand. I don't understand why teams.
He's 28.
I don't understand why teams do not take a chance on Beasley. I just don't get it. Now with the way guy, they have stretch fours now.
Yeah.
He'd be the perfect prototypical stretch four. He would be doing things like out there, he could get you 25 in his sleep. I think it's the baggage that he brought along with him the first go around that's penalizing him. But if you set him down and you talk to him, because he had a lot of mental issues. And I think if you take that in consideration, understand where he was coming from and what his background is, and find out, where he's at mentally now, why wouldn't you bring him on a team?
I think the thing with Beasley is he's really great in that big three setting because he can isolate, go one-on-one. I don't know if he's a system player.
Mark.
Everybody wants a guy that'll shoot the three and play.
A hooper is a hooper. He can do that in a 5-man set. He was doing that in the league when he was here. He was scoring when he was in his league. It's the problem is that if you bring him in and he's not one of you're paying someone $150 million in the position that he's playing, and then Beasley outworks him, shows him that he's a better player, then people say, well, damn, we wasted $150 million on this guy. We got this guy for a bag of Doritos and a Fanta.
Yeah.
So what is our front office doing? Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that pressure. See, if I'm trying to win, I don't care about that. I'm like, listen, if this dude can help me get to a title or get me past the first round, second round, I'm bringing him in because you need guys coming off the bench. How important is it when you get deep in the playoffs to have a decent bench? It's always been that way. You're going to win with your star players, but you're going to compete on a nightly basis with a solid bench. If you don't have a bench in this league, first round exit. First round, second round tops, you're not getting to the finals in the Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals, or the NBA Finals without having a deep team. Oklahoma City is one of the deepest teams in the league, and look what happened to them this year. They won the championship, and they are the youngest team in the league, and they're going to be here for a while.
I was looking at the list of guys who are still unsigned going into the start of training camp in a couple of weeks, and one of the names I know a guy Stacey likes, maybe the modern day Michael Beasley, Imani Bates, a guy who can score, but nobody seems to want the kid.
Oh man,
he's out there. He's out there waiting for an invitation.
Let me say, America. Remember, I told you this. This kid finally gets an opportunity. He's going to explode, and y'all gonna remember the Gimme the Hot Sauce podcast that Stacey King was telling you about. This kid. This kid can play. He can shoot it. He can do all what you need him to do. I don't know what it is because I'm not around him every day.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes and what his personality's like. But if I'm just judging the eye test as a basketball player, and he's young too, he's like 21 years old, 6'9", 6'10", wing player, the prototypical player that you want in this league, that you're drafting guys for, that you're drafting these young kids at 18, 19, because you want that kind of player. And here's a kid 21 years old with a couple of years NBA experience, can't get into the rotation in Cleveland for whatever reason, because you had Okoro there, you got they got a veteran laden team,
right? They had no
room for him. So if I'm a coach and I see a kid with this type of talent, this is just me, okay? No one has to take my playbook, but this is what I would do. That kid, if I got Mobley playing the 4 spot, or Okoro playing the 3 spot, I'm fine. I don't care if I got to steal minutes at the 2. I'm going to find some minutes somewhere to put this kid in, because he could be the difference of you going deep in the playoffs and possibly winning, because when they got beat by Indiana, they got beat because they got beat up and down the floor.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have in the regular season, they had the athletes to run, but in the playoffs, there were guys hurt. They couldn't get back. They weren't moving as well as they were early in the season. And then you got young guys like this on your bench. You're not even playing, not even putting out there. Like, what is that?
Yeah. Another young guy who decided to bet on himself, Cam Thomas, took the qualifying offer from the Brooklyn Nets. Reportedly, he was offered a 2-year contract around $20 million, but he and his agent believed that they just wanted to sign him so they could flip him in a trade at the deadline, and he wants to be able to have more control over his contract. So now he takes the qualifying offer, which I think for him was only about $5.5 million, and now he's going to be an unrestricted free agent next year. Now, he's a guy who scored 24 points a game, but nobody knows that because he played in Brooklyn, which is one of the worst teams in the NBA.
Listen, I mean, he's been a scorer since day one in this league, okay? The best defense he saw was Jacques Vaughn. Jacques Vaughn, his coach, was the one who stopped him from possibly being Rookie of the Year his first year in this league. The kid can flat out score. He's an undersized 2 guard, so he's mostly a combo guard. But he's a guy who's proven in this league. He had like 3 or 4 games, 4 or 5 games where he had like 35 to 40 in a row. He can flat out score. Now, them doing what they did, not offering him a big contract, they must know something about him inside the locker room that we don't know.
Right.
Because if he's a young player, he's like 22, 23 years old. If you've already seen what he can do in the NBA, why wouldn't you lock him in? Why wouldn't you pay him what you think he's worth and lock him in? There's something behind the scenes. I don't know what it is, but they only know.
Yeah, they had 5 first-round draft picks this year. They made all 5. Everybody thought they'd make a trade to move up, package some of those picks. They took all 5 of those selections. So now Cam Thomas has got his 1-year deal, but they're going to try to feature these rookies that they just drafted.
And he'll still be a trade piece,
Mm-hmm.
because he's got a movable contract. So teams will
by
take him.
taking the qualifying offer, he gets veto rights on it.
Oh, does he?
But
Well,
he may want to go
Well,
if he's presented a good
because they
option.
can dictate what he plays this year.
Right.
See, they can play hardball like they did when he was getting off and Jock Vaughn benched him and didn't play him. A team could do that and say, look, okay, so you didn't want to take this deal, so we're not going to allow you to get off. We're going to sit you down and not play you. We're going to play all our young guys.
Before we bring in our Bears analyst Glenn Morgan to talk about what happened on the lakefront Monday night, I want to get your thoughts real quick on the whole Angel Reese situation. She was suspended for a half by the organization for comments critical of the team. Now, it's one thing to say, everyone knows they've had a really tough season. They lost Courtney Vandersloot right away. The season just has gone downhill quickly, and it's been a tough situation for everybody. It's one thing to say, this roster needs to be improved. It's another thing to kind of call out your teammates. She said, I can't win with what I have here, and if it doesn't improve, I need to be somewhere else. Now, we've heard that from other athletes before, but it was almost the fact that she was so critical of her teammates. She actually had to apologize to her teammates for the comments because they took that as a direct shot at them.
Listen, she's young. She's brash. She feels she's a superstar. And sometimes when you're young, you say things, you don't have a filter. Obviously, she doesn't have a filter. There's no one in her circle saying you can't say those kind of things. You want to be critical of the organization. That's one thing, is saying, hey, we need more people here. We need to get some more, whatever we need to do to make the team better. But when you start calling out your teammates and, Vandersloot's too old, we need a younger guard. You already got a younger guard on the team that Van
Lith. She's been hurt too.
Yeah,
she's missed most of the season.
Listen, stay in the play. Stay in your zone. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because if you're not out there every single night putting up 25 and 25 and you're leading your team to victory, like, you really don't have a lot to say. Because if people want to be critical, they could easily say, well, how many layups do you miss every night? How many me-bounds do you get every single night? Their teammates could be critical and say that about her. It's like, look, we come out here every single night and the offense is run through you. Everything's run through you. And we're not seeing any wins. So like you're looked at as Michael Jordan of our team, and we're not seeing any wins. We're seeing like we're getting beat by 30. So you might want to question some of your tactics. So it's better just be like, you know what, behind the scenes, have your agent talk to someone and have that behind closed doors, because that makes you look like a diva. Yeah. It makes you look like a diva. And she's already got kind of a reputation of being that way on the outside because of the Caitlin Clark situation. I like Angel Reese. I think, Angel Reese, if you put some people around her, and recognize what she does and she's Dennis Rodman, basically. If you really want to, because she can rebound. She's probably the best rebounder in the league.
Right.
Okay. She's quick off her feet. She gets to every ball especially offensive rebounds. You have to box her out. So I give her nothing but credit on that part of it. But her offensive game, she's very limited. In the summertime, she needs to they should have someone like, the NBA has like Olajuwon and some great players that take players to the side and show them and teach them. There should be someone like that for girls, that they can go see a Cheryl Miller. They can go see a Lisa Leslie, and work on their post game. And those girls can show them, Candace Parker, girls who are great in this league have their own little camps where they have these girls come see them. Why can't they do it?
Yeah, I think she's going to be in another city next year. That's my
You
prediction.
think so?
I think she's kind of talked her way out of Chicago. You look at the history of this guy, Sylvia Fowles, who was in the Hall of Fame in this last class, Lena Deladon, Kalia Copper, all traded. So a lot of that's financial based, but this organization seems to always want to go younger for the bottom line, to keep the payroll down. I thought when Dwayne Wade got involved as a part-time owner that would change, but it clearly hasn't.
Well, I mean, at some point, what are you playing for? Like, if you're just trying to, get the bottom line and just, you don't care about winning, because the losses are ugly.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they're losing by 3 or 4 points. They're in the games. Some of these losses are ugly, 30 plus. And you're like, wow, 30 plus. Like, is the WNBA that good? Are there that many good players in the league where you're getting waxed like that? And when you watch them play, like I've watched them play quite a few times, and it's just like they have no direction, offensively or defensively. What are we trying to do here? Are you running offense that's equal opportunity, or are we just gonna let somebody isolate the ball and just shoot up a three anytime they want to? And you don't have any the big girl, what's her name?
Cardoso, Camila Cardoso.
Why is she not used like Shaq?
Right.
Why is she not?
She can
Why
score.
is she not used in pick and roll situations to free up your guards or free up your wings to score? Roll her to the basket, dump the ball inside to her, force double teams, let her kill these people, which will make everybody's job. So she's almost a non-factor out there. And pretty soon they'll trade her, and they'll be right back in a situation where they'll be small again. They'll have a team full of guards and forwards, and they'll be back in the same position. They're not winning.
Chicago sports. You gotta love it.
Looks like we got our new coach of the sky right here.
No. America, no. It's not going to happen. No.
A lot of ex-NBA guys have coached in the WNBA.
Listen, I'd rather coach a youth little league team. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, America. Too many egos out there, baby. No, I can't do it.
Yeah, if drafted, he will not serve the famous.
Nope.
Well, I guess that leads us into what happened on the lakefront. Glenn Morgan's going to join us to talk about the Bears' loss to the Minnesota Vikings. That's next on Gimme the Hot Sauce. But first, I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, our buddy Jeff Vukovic. He'll take care of all your insurance needs, auto, home, and business. He's the best in the business, so give him a call. You can reach him at 847-825-4783. Also available online at jeffvuk.com. That's Vuk with a K. So give him a call. Tell him that Gimme the Hot Sauce crew sent you, and he'll make sure to take care of you. We're going to talk Bears next on Gimme the Hot Sauce. But first, Stacey.
Oh, Mark, I thought you forgot, baby.
No, I'll never forget the jingle.
Nationwide is on your side. Woo!
Nicely done. Glenn Morgan next on Gimme the Hot Sauce. All right, now it's the time of the show. We are contractually obligated to talk about your Chicago Bears. Not actually contractually obligated, but our good friend Glenn Morgan came all the way out to Palatine to join us. Thanks for I'm choking up talking about it. Thanks for being here.
I'm
Understandable.
going to have to get a Heimlich maneuver on Mark. Like, 1, 2,
Understandable.
It's difficult to get into this topic. I mean, the Bears should have beaten the Minnesota Vikings and been 1-0, and Ben Johnson celebrating his first win.
Yes.
Instead, everything that could go wrong did in the last quarter plus, and they wound up walking away with a loss. Let's start with the quarterback. Caleb Williams led a touchdown drive, which I found out they didn't do that all last year, score on the first possession with a touchdown,
Right.
which was interesting.
Right.
But the offense never seemed to be in sync, and we thought the offensive genius Ben Johnson, 6 weeks to practice, they'd come out with this great game plan. It looked like a lot like last year's team.
Yes. Short answer, yes. Part of the problem is the offensive line is still a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
They did not do a very good job with run blocking. There's no push. It's tough for the running back to get anywhere when the defensive linemen are either meeting in the backfield or right at the line of scrimmage. It seems like they overcorrected a little bit. The offensive line is really good at or better at pass protection, maybe not as good at run blocking. So kind of an overcorrection from the previous two offensive lines. And it's tough with your running game and you have a play action offense predicated on having a good running game, doesn't get off the ground. Now you're having your quarterback having to pass a bit more than you would expect or want. And then when you become one-dimensional, someone like Brian Flores, defensive coordinator for the Vikings, he can key in on your weaknesses at that point, and then you become a liability, and he makes you one.
Yeah, I thought when they had the lead, if they had a decent running game, they could have milked some of the clock. They could have put Minnesota in a tough bind, in a serious catch-up mode. But they weren't able to move the ball. When Caleb Williams is your number one rusher, that's a problem. You know, when you look at your running backs and 56 yards was the most, that was from him. That's a problem. And I thought, Minnesota, even though they struggled in the first half with a young quarterback, they came out in the second half and looked like a completely different team moving up and down the field with that kid. That kid, I'm telling you something. You saw him in Michigan, and the only thing you've ever heard about this kid is he got leadership ability. They made him a captain.
Right.
This is his first season playing. You don't ever see a rookie hardly ever becoming a captain of the team.
It's different. It's just not. You don't see it a lot. Any position, quarterback, you would expect that to be the position of leadership. But
Yeah, but that's if you got years
Right,
there.
right.
Not a kid coming fresh
and
off
you
the
haven't
injury
played.
list.
You haven't played. Yeah, off
Yeah,
the
yeah,
injury
and he
list,
played
haven't
a couple of minutes in preseason.
Right.
No, that's rare. So they believe in him.
Intangibles are a real thing, although you can't always see them. And I was never a big person for that. I remember when Cade McNown was drafted, and they said he was so scrappy and had all these intangibles and moxie. And moxie was a bunch of BS. It led to nothing. So I've been a little down on intangibles. You saw that play out last night. J.J. McCarthy, you come away from that game saying to yourself, wow, okay, I get he didn't throw a lot at Michigan. I get there was a run-oriented offense and Harbaugh, everything to the vest, but he made the plays, such as you heard when he graduated or when he left Michigan. Well, he made the plays he had to make the plays to beat Alabama to win and to get the national championship. And he apparently did that last night in the fourth quarter. I think the best thing that happened to him, and he was, JJ, a little overwhelmed initially. It's the first NFL game. You're at home. You're from the Chicagoland area. It's Monday night. Your first game is Monday night against your hometown team you grew up watching. I mean, there's a lot. I'm sure a lot of friends and family were there. All these expectations are on you, blah, 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 blah. First three quarters, it looked like, man, dude, wow, maybe by November you might figure something out. That interception, that pick six, that 74-yard interception return for a touchdown was the best thing that happened to him. Because at that point, it was like, you're not gonna kill me twice. This game is already lost. I can't do much worse than that. Let's go for it. I'm not a professional athlete, never pretended to be one, but I do bowl on the weekends, right? Hey, this past weekend I'm in the league, I got the first 6 strikes in a row. I'm like, man, this 300 is going to happen. I got too careful on the next one and totally missed it. Like, the worst part was over with. Okay, I can finish the rest of the game. Same thing with JJ. It's like, you know what? I can't do any worse. Let me go for it. And so then he's like, I don't have to be afraid anymore. I've already made the mistake I didn't want to make. And when he threw the interception, I give full 100% credit because he fully threw the interception. He fired it over there. I mean, it was conviction. It was like, But after that, what I saw when they cut away was him walk over to the sidelines, talk to O'Connell, and I was like, uh-oh. I literally said this to myself, uh-oh. O'Connell's not raging. They're very calm about this. They're taking this in stride. We'll see what happens next. And he took over the game. The intangibles.
Well, let's talk about our guy, though. I mean, I saw a stat that.
So JJ.
Williams 27.4 off-target rate,
Yes.
worst in the NFL.
Yes.
I mean, you can make excuses. You can say it's just one game. The offensive line didn't hold up. The quarterback has to be better. And if this doesn't change, you've got a nightmare scenario. You take a guy number 1 overall. You missed out. You didn't take Jaden Daniels. You didn't take McCarthy, obviously. And now you've got this guy long term. Ben Johnson came here because he wanted to coach Caleb Williams. I wonder what he would say if we get him candidly to talk about it now.
Okay. I'm not usually the I told you so person, but I do say that I'm not saying I'm right. I just don't think I'm wrong. Caleb is not generational. I never thought he was generational. I've seen other generational quarterbacks before him. I've seen Jamel Holloway at Oklahoma. I've seen Tommy Frazier at Nebraska. I've seen Michael Vick take Virginia Tech. I don't know who the heck else was on the team, screaming and dragging to the national championship game against Virginia Tech. I've seen Lamar Jackson win a Heisman the same year Deshaun Watson took Clemson to a national championship game. Caleb, I don't know outside of the game against Texas when he was at Oklahoma, I can't think of a significant game that he's won. I don't know if that's there just yet. The talent says it should be. You can't tell me after taking him number 1, you didn't have the opportunity to trade down with Washington. Caleb's from the Washington, D.C. area. They would have loved to have him there. You trade down and get Jaden McDaniels. He just won the Heisman Trophy that year that they were drafted. He looks like he's doing fine in an organization that had to be restructured from the top down, from the owner to the general manager, president, head coaching staff, and a whole bunch of free agents they got. And they got all the way to the NFC Championship game. I know situations are different, coaching and what have you, but still the rookie did that. You lose that game in Washington. I'm not saying the game they lost, the Bears lost in Washington last year, was all Caleb's fault. I'm not saying that at all. Jaden Daniels somehow found a way with messed up ribs to win that game and heave a pass to win it. Okay, whatever. That happens, right? Okay, I get it. The next week you followed up by losing to Drake May at home? Really? Drake May, who has less talent around you? When Caleb was taken by the Bears, everybody said, man, I can't recall anybody being the first pick overall coming into a situation with that much skill talent around you. He was drafted into the best possible situation outside of J.J. McCarthy, who was taken 10th. Bo Nix was taken last of the first-round quarterbacks, 12th overall, to the Broncos, which everyone thought would be a project. He made it to the playoffs in a division where 3 teams went to the playoffs. Super Bowl, punching bag, Chiefs that got beat up by the Eagles, but they made it there. And then also you're talking about the Chargers and the Broncos. So it's a tough division. So you can't tell me he made it because it was a weak division. And then you followed up with what just happened when you played the Minnesota Vikings, a young man who hadn't played a meaningful start in over 604 or 5 days. He hadn't played a meaningful game. He's almost 2 years. He hasn't played. I know he was on the same team last year. I know he knows the offense. I understand, but he hasn't played. You're at home. You got a restructured offensive line. You have more offensive talent with Colson Loveland, with Luther Burden. And you generate 10 offensive points for the most part. The pick 6 got you 17. And then you get the empty calories that we always see Caleb get when the game almost doesn't matter.
It's that Sammy Sosa effect. It's like Sammy when the Cubs are down like 8-0, he hits like 3 home runs. They lose 8-3. But when the score is 1-1, the bottom of the ninth, and the bases are loaded, we need him to come through.
Hey, Sammy was back in town this weekend. He got his Cubs Hall of Fame jacket.
Congratulations, man. But the truth is the truth. The truth hurts. But I will say this, Glenn. I will say this. I'm not going to write him off yet because I still say they should have kept Justin Fields and moved down and used that to get all those pieces they needed. I'm going to continue to say that because Justin Fields looked really good the other day.
Yeah, he did.
Yesterday against Pittsburgh. So we're not going there because it's not the topic.
Right.
But I will say this about him. He's got, 18 games under his belt now, if that's right. And he's had 4 offensive coordinators. So I'm not making excuses for the kid. I'm just saying he's seen 4 offensive coordinators. That's a lot of verbiage he's had to pick up over the short time he's there.
I'm not going to let you say that.
Listen, I'm just telling you, America.
One offensive coordinator was on the staff.
Listen,
the verbiage didn't change.
Listen,
just a play
Bears,
call
Bears,
Same verbiage.
Bear down, baby. Bear down. I'm just telling you, Bears Nation. I'm not jumping off the Caleb Williams bandwagon. You guys made me. You forced me to jump on the bandwagon. When I told you Justin Fields, they should have kept Justin Fields.
Stacey's been very consistent about that.
They can move down, take that number 1 pick, and go get all the pieces they needed to make this like Washington. It could be like Washington. Because Washington got, Jaden Daniels late. They could have well. So they could have done this, but they didn't. So we're stuck here with what we see now. Now, I said last week, what if this continues to be an every week thing that he looks lost out there? He doesn't answer the bell. Is Tyson Bagent an option? I'm telling you, I can see it happening.
Well, here's the thing. You're right. I'm not off the Caleb band. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. And yes, there's a lot Caleb has probably got swirling in his head. No doubt. And this is a new offense. And being under center is something that he didn't do a lot of in college or even last year. Yes, it's going to take some time. That being said, he is still inconsistent with his passing. You can't drop dimes to Odunze and miss DJ Moore across the middle of the field. You just can't.
I agree.
That has nothing
No
to do.
excuses.
That has nothing to do with the play calling. And again, the head coach has to be better. He looked like a rookie head coach yesterday, and the defense at times probably over fatigued towards the end because a lot of 3 and outs and it's the first game and everyone's not, and they were already somewhat depleted. There's a lot of reasons / excuses that went into yesterday's loss. But the issue I have is we're still seeing the same issues that plagued him his last year more, viscerally at USC, definitely last year, and now this year. Mark, you mentioned happy feet. I'll say immature. I think he's still impatient. I think there's an impatience to his game. He wants everything to happen spectacularly. He wants it right now, and then he gets impatient. He tries to do too much sometimes. I think he's his own worst enemy at this point. I'm sure he doesn't care what I think, but that's what his game seems to denote to me. So he has to slow it down. It's not, everything is chaotic for him right now. It's moving too fast for him. He has to slow it down. It's not that he can't process it. It's just that he's over processing, if that's the thing. He's thinking too much, and he's missing the simple and he's missing the easy, because
this is why I say, like, you know, the preseason, they needed to take the preseason more importantly, get this kid out there and let him run some reps. Like, you act like he was like Tom Brady, like he didn't need to be out there. And this is why I say preseason is so important for certain guys. Your veteran guys, you know what they're going to do.
Exactly.
But your guys who are coming in, your offense is coming into a new system. Your skill players, your number 1, number 2 skill players, those guys should be out there in preseason playing more than one series. So they're ready for a Monday night football game against a Minnesota team that they should have beaten last night. Yeah. They look, there was times they looked like they were like lost. There was times when they looked like the inconsistency was there. You were like, wait a minute, it's like the first time they played together. Like, how do you miss a wide open DJ Moore? Like, he's been here. He was one of your safety nets last year. You know, how about establishing your tight ends more? You know, how about you got 2 good tight ends?
Supposed to run 12 personnel.
Yeah, exactly. What do they get? One catch, 2 catches apiece?
Like that,
if that. I mean, where are the balls being spread out to? You're not running the ball, so if you're going to be throwing the ball, there's got to be more than 1 or 2 targets.
Here's where you get me going, because now I'm starting to look at somebody else. I'm starting to look at polls again. You cleared out money for what? You didn't go get Micah Parsons. Apparently, it didn't cost that much to get him. You know, Packers gave up really good player and 2 draft picks that are going to be 25th picks or later, right? Okay, you didn't get him. All right. So Darius Smith. Oh, the Eagles went and got him. Okay. How about you get a running back? Because, you know, your running backs are beat up and depleted. Wait, the Eagles went out and got Tank Bigsby from Jackson. You got 700 yards. What'd you get the money for? For what? What are you doing?
To save it for the Jet 2 vacation.
Here's my issue. I think the Bears have a talented roster on both sides of the ball. I really do believe that. I think there's a lot of good players. I don't know who the great player is yet. The only potentially great player I see was on the sidelines in clothes, and he wasn't drafted by this regime. He was from the previous regime. That's Jalen Johnson. Who are the great players?
I mean, other than like, I would say DJ Moore would be considered,
again, somebody that you didn't draft.
Yeah, I don't see anybody on their team that's like great.
That's the part of the problem.
I mean, I would like to see Caleb, Williams a little further than what he was last night. I mean, I was expecting like, okay, they're gonna come in like world beaters. They're at home. Everybody's watching. This is prime time. This is what NFL players live for, to play on Monday night. And when's the last time the Bears been on a Monday night football game? It's been the start of the season. Like, it's been
a long time.
A long time. You got the city excited. You got everybody excited. New coach, new regime. This is going to be a better season. And it's like you got a chance to. It's like getting on the microphone and somebody introduce you. Now coming up, Stacey King. Stacey, come and talk to the fans. And I go, is it on? Hey, are we going now? Are we starting?
Whispers, you were there. What was the atmosphere like?
It was crazy, and then you had the celebration of the greatest team in history. And you think
that's another problem. That's all we do is talk about the '85
Bears.
You
think that would motivate
years
them,
ago.
they're literally standing there. You think,
I know.
I'm sure Dent walked over there and had some comments for some of these guys. You would. I mean, I would be completely jacked up because it jacked up the crowd. Where were the players then?
Next week, Ben Johnson goes back to Detroit to play the Lions. The Lions are angry after losing in Green Bay, so we'll get your take on that game next week. All right?
Certainly.
Glenn Morgan, our guest on Give Me the Hot Sauce. A little more Josh Giddey talk.
He lost in fantasy football this week, too.
Hey, man.
He got smashed.
Pull up the punches, man.
Oh, he got smashed in my fantasy league.
Come on, Galata.
Stop swinging so wildly.
He's terrible. He got killed.
Come on now.
We're coming right back. Before we get out of here, we got a few housekeeping items to take care of. First of all, I want to shout out Stacey's Oklahoma Sooners. It was the game of the weekend. They hosted mighty Michigan from the Big Ten, and they just physically dominated that game.
Mark, let me just go out on a limb and tell you this. We own the Big Ten, okay? We beat Ohio State. We beaten them. I consider Notre Dame a Big Ten team, even though they refuse to go there.
Right.
They're a Big Ten team. We beat them too. The Sooners, we're in the SEC right now. And, we house Michigan at, in Oklahoma, Sooner Land. We smacked them around and beat them up. Now, I'm a little concerned because I don't know if we're going to do this in the SEC this year. If they can play like they played the other day, they got to move the ball a little bit more, get some more consistent up and down the field. I think we have our chances, but I don't know. SEC is a different animal.
And they had Trae Young on ESPN making the celebrity picks, the Sooner legend.
Of course, he's going to say Oklahoma because he's born and raised there.
He said Oklahoma by 50 is what his
Is that what he
prediction
said?
was. Yeah.
Okay, he almost jinxed us.
He was playing in the crowd, you know.
Yeah. You know, and you know, football shoes there. You know, football shoes there, and to see all the energy there. You know, I almost went to that game. I almost went to the game, but I was like, I don't know if I want to travel all the way to Oklahoma right now because I gotta go. I gotta go there in a couple of weeks anyway. And I'm like, I don't want to go twice. So I'm like, I might have to wait on that one.
Speaking of network crews showing up at campuses, did you see that the Fox crew is going to be in Evanston this weekend?
Yeah.
For what?
Northwestern's playing Oregon. That's going to be ugly.
You saw what
the
they
big
did.
noon kickoff crew is going to be on that makeshift stadium on the lakefront.
Did you see what Oregon did to Oklahoma State?
Oh, I did, yeah.
Because Oklahoma State coach was talking trash. And then, see, that coach from Oregon, you don't mess around with, man.
Yeah.
Because he uses bulletin board
You
material.
run that score up on
Man,
you.
ask Deion Sanders. Man, he ran that score up on Oklahoma State, boy. Oh,
69
my
to
God.
3.
Oh, my God. I thought it was a basketball score. I'm like, when did basketball season start?
So, Whispers, you going to that game, the Northwestern Oregon?
No, I'll pick something else.
First of all,
I should've gone last week.
hey, when they're not winning, you can't count on Whispers. Whispers a front runner. When they're winning, he's out there with
Not for
Northwestern
that.
gears on. He's at tailgating. We're number one. The Wildcats number one. When they're losing, you can't.
Yeah.
He's like, I went to Ohio State.
Yeah, when they play South Anchorage, I'm going to be at that one.
Wow, when you know they're gonna win,
Yeah,
that's not even
just
guaranteed.
like last weekend.
That's not even guaranteed.
Hey, did you see the
You
score
gotta
last
check
weekend?
out-
What was it,
Yeah.
45 zip?
Yeah.
So
You got to check out their basketball team next year, though. I was talking to Kendall Gill the other day. His son Phoenix had a great summer, and he's going to be in the rotation there. So shout out to Phoenix. Good luck. Your first
He's a
freshman.
friend of the program.
Yeah.
We had Phoenix on here.
Yeah, so he's going to be playing for the
Yeah,
Wildcats.
I'm looking forward to seeing him play. He's, you know what? He's a tough kid, you know, and
He's gotten physically stronger.
and he looks physically stronger.
because Kendall's
Yeah.
got him on a strong
Yeah,
program.
he looks a lot different than what he did, say, 6 months ago.
Yeah.
You know, you can tell that he really worked on his body this summer. Shout out to Kendall. You know, Kendall does a great job with him.
Mhm.
I see him doing the boxing drills, and, you know, he's got him on that 60-40 workout that Kendall's got.
Yeah.
Kendall, I'm telling you, Kendall's got this workout, America. You know, it's
No
60-40. It's no joke. If you're an old person, I advise you, make sure you check with your doctor to make sure it's okay that you do this because you might not make it back. But it is a great workout.
But Whispers was at the Bears game, and I understand you got some photos you want to share with the crowd.
yeah, I was hanging out with the two JJ's dads, Jefferson and McCarthy. They're great guys. Well, first, Justin's dad shoved me away. He said, whoa, easy. Don't get too close to that Bears
There's
stuff.
the photos.
And great guys.
Where
McCarthy's.
were you at? It cut half your head off.
Yeah, but that's Byron's bad photography, but
It's
yeah, he's not
horrible.
very good at the selfies.
It's almost like you weren't even supposed to be in there.
Yeah. Well, he
And
cut off
then
half
that
of
guy right
McCarthy.
there. Look at there, Mark. Look at him in
Yeah.
that picture.
That's
right there.
JJ McCarthy's
He
dad.
looks like
We
a
got it
guy
off
that's
his head.
peeking in your windows when you're taking a shower. Your neighbor that comes peeking through the window. Oh my goodness, that's creepy.
See, and here's where we had the view of the game. And,
Yeah.
And then you had the
Where were you at?
celebration for, right at the bottom of the 200 section, about the 20
So you had
yard
some
line.
good seats.
Yeah,
there's
those
a
look
great
like great
view.
seats. What was the
Oh.
drink of choice in the tailgate?
Some Coors Light, and a few anti-heroes. I mean, and the food was phenomenal.
Yeah.
This is one of the best tailgates, and they've been doing it for almost 20 years, and just endless food, endless drinks.
This was
endless-
Minnesota. Your Minnesota
Pardon?
friends.
Yeah, no, it was all Bears guys, but they invited a bunch of Minnesota guys because they're
Okay.
connected to them through the dads. Colson Loveland's dad and J.J. McCarthy's dad went to
Right.
school together at North Park, and then of course their sons went
got you.
together at Michigan. So
Oh,
it's a
wow.
strange small world.
So the night started off great, just didn't end all that way.
Yeah, I was razzing them that whole game, and then that last quarter, it was
Wow. You were
Wow.
giving it a business?
yeah, and then of course he gave it back to me as you would expect, but.
Now, did
Yeah.
you bring some of Stacey's signature hot sauce to the
You can't
tailgate?
carry fluids into games, Mark. You know the rules.
Mark.
Not outside. You can do it outside.
Oh no, I offered it to the tailgate guys, but they said they were all set and they have their recipes, so they didn't want me to disturb the camp.
Just
so
would
to
have made
speak.
it better.
I
It made it a lot
agree.
better, Mark.
I'm gonna have to sneak it in next time. Just pour it on
You
the
know
grill.
what? It's too late, Tim. Give me a chance. You may not ever get that
Hey,
opportunity
hey,
again.
it was my first time, so.
But you
maybe
folks
next
at home, don't miss out. You can get Stacey's signature sauces. Go to GimmeTheHotSauce.com. 4 great flavors, all
That's
available.
right. Still got the codes for free shipping or half off the barbecue and the 1871, the hot stuff.
And it gets cold in Chicago, but barbecue season is 12 months a year.
Oh, man.
Year-round.
yeah.
I've been getting shout outs from Spain and France and people who buying it from Europe. They love it, baby.
One of your Oklahoma contacts just another big order. So.
Oh, really? Oh, my boy in Oklahoma. Oh, yeah, man. Hey, shout out to him. That's my boy out there. Wow.
Wow.
Last thing, time for our regular feature. What are we watching? Whispers, would it start us off?
Thunderbolts. So they finally made a good one with the MCU universe, and it was very entertaining. A lot of good humor in it. Yeah, David Harbour playing the old Russian, what do you call him, like their version of Iron Man or whatever he is.
Because people wonder where they'd go next after the Avengers wrapped up.
Yeah.
And this was, kind of initially it was looked at as a comedy vehicle, but there's certainly a superhero element to it.
Yeah, and they have some guys that were in prior shows, like Harbour's character, and then you have the Winter Soldier guy, Bucky.
Yeah.
And it's it's just good entertainment. So.
And you weren't expecting much, but you were pleasantly surprised.
Well, that's usually how I go into most films.
That's how you live your life, huh?
Low expectations. I'm just always pleasantly satisfied, Mark.
Wow. Doesn't take much, Mark.
Well, I'm glad Whispers gives it a thumbs up. Stacey, what do you got?
Oh, I got back my favorite guy. What about Sal? Nobody 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
I saw the first one.
The first one was awesome.
Yeah.
The second was, listen, it's a little bit unbelievable, but it was a good storyline. They had Sharon Stone in it.
Mm-hmm.
They brought back some of the guys. His father, RZA, that from the Wu-Tang Clan, came back. His partners that helped him do. It was. Listen, I didn't think the first one was going to be very good.
Yeah.
Because you don't see him as a
No, you don't expect him to be
superhero.
kicking guys' asses.
No. But so once you got over the fact that he could do that,
Yeah.
then you knew what kind of person he was. So it's
Yeah.
easy to watch too. Little crazy, little some scenes unbelievable, but it's a good watch though. It was a good watch. I didn't. It's not one of those movies I go, I wasted 2 hours watching this. It was decent.
Well, speaking of crazy, the finale of Dexter Resurrection.
Oh,
the
good.
people who really loved the show, and I count myself among them, were disappointed the first 2 times they tried to end it. The original Dexter, he kind of sails off into the wilderness in the water. You think he's dying. The sequel, he gets shot by his son, and you think he's dead. While they miraculously bring him back, and it was just a great trompe through New York. Taking care of all these serial killers. I mean, and the finale is just unbelievable.
I'm gonna tell you something.
Peter Dinklage, of course, is the spearheading.
Little Peter Dinklage. I'm gonna tell you something.
We're not a record for the
we're
folks.
not a record for it. I'm gonna tell you something. It's probably the best Dexter since the original.
Yeah, I've seen all kinds of on social media. Everybody's happy that this series can continue now.
Yeah, because if you look at it, what made Dexter so good the first time around, it was something that you didn't expect. When you think of a serial killer, they're just killing anybody.
Right.
This is a serial killer killing bad people.
Right.
Guys getting off who murdered somebody or raped somebody and got off. This is a guy that's a vigilante and he's going after the bad guys. He's not killing innocent people. So there's a twist on that. So the second one was like, it was okay because if you're a Dexter fan, you'd watch it because it's Dexter. But this third installment is going back to the roots of the old Dexter.
Mm-hmm.
Where his son being there, and and they got that little angle. Having his dad Harry more involved. His dad's Harry's like a ghost, but he's there.
And those are some really funny scenes when Harry pops up.
Oh yeah, Harry's hilarious.
Dark humor.
That's why I'm glad. They give him a more of a role, a prominent role in this. And just seeing him, Mark, just going back to his old ways of going after the bad people. Here he is. He finds a world of serial killers. He's like, oh wow, I feel like I belong. And I wish I would have known about this. And then he finds out these people are sick, and he's like, and they're killing for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
So now he's like, okay,
there's no code among serial killers.
there is no code.
How about the ego element of it? That's killed me. Like you can't take my name. I'm
the dark passenger. You cannot be the dark passenger. And then the one scene where it's like the Hall of Fame, and Peter Dinklage's got all the things, and then he's got like Dexter's things too, right? And he's like, look, Dexter's like
Bay Harbor Butcher.
Yeah, the Bay Harbor Butcher. So he's got all this stuff in there, and then Dexter's like looking at it like, oh. No. But it's a great watch.
Yeah, we highly recommend it.
Highly recommend it.
If you've watched
5 stars.
Yeah, if you've watched the original Dexter, you are going to love this. And the best news, of course, is they're going to continue it because they're making big money with that franchise, and they're going to continue it on.
Uma Thurman too, great addition.
Yeah. Really good stuff.
Ooh, Uma. Yeah, I forgot about her.
That's right.
Well, the girl serial killer that was going around killing men.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked her too.
Yeah.
I thought her and Dexter were gonna get together. And Dexter's like, nah. He wanted to. He wanted to. But then Dexter's like, nah, I got
Harry's Code stopped
yeah,
that.
Harry's Code stopped that. Are you really gonna do that, Dexter? Is that what you're doing now? Harry.
So some recommendations for you to watch as we're winding down the summer, where, of course, the NFL season has started. Basketball is nearby, and, of course, recapping our breaking news at the start of the show, Josh Giddey agrees to a contract 4 years, $100 million, so the Bulls are set and ready to go. So we'll have a brand new episode next week. I've been talking to my friend Vincent Goodwill. I think he's going to join us. We'll get you ready.
Vinny G.
We'll get you ready for the start of the NBA season and training camp opening up across the country. So until then, Stace.
Drive home safely, Chicago BP.
He didn't come for the massage, he came for the facial.
Don't shoot him. Does anybody know how to post videos to Facebook?
There's a block party, Mike didn't get the invitation.
That's a huge three.
Mustard!
Lonzo left alone.
Able to swerve, bend that corner.
That's the last time I'm going to see it. Williams straight on.